guys, this is Malorian, and this will be a Warmachine 101. So it's good to be back and doing these again. I'd left it alone for a while, you know, just because I was concentrating on other things, but I think I really want to come back and start doing these. That's a big reason why I started up my Mr. Malorian Facebook page, so that every weekend I'm going to be, you know, before that on the Thursday, Friday, I have a post out saying, hey, you know, what do you guys want me to talk about this time? And then on the weekend, I want to be doing one of these every single weekend. So either way, I did this up this last week, and I have 4 questions here I'll be answering. First one here comes from Chris Johnstone. It says, playing your first turn on the clock. Now, this is a pretty important one. This is one where a lot of people have a lot of troubles on this first turn, which is silly because it should be the easiest turn that you're going to have all game. In fact, when I'm playing against somebody and their first turn takes like 10 minutes or something, I'm already honestly thinking I'm going to beat you, and I'm probably already changing my game plan to be being one that I'm going to beat you by just death clock as opposed to anything else. So really what it comes down to is, what do you have to do in your first turn? You have your army already deployed, you're now on the clock, and you need to go. And really what this really entails in the first turn, you know, Warmachine gets a little bit of flack for this, is it's really just running forward and getting out your spells. That's it. Now, it's not really that simplistic. Of course, you maybe have to decide if you want my spell here or here. The spacing might be a little bit important. Needing to get to certain pieces of terrain. All these things, right? Order of activations. This is going to buff this. But I think that's really the problem, right? People will stand there on their first turn and say, alright, what am I going to do? Okay, I got these spells. I think I'm going to cast this one here, but I'll need to move here to cast it. And these guys will go here, and kind of planning out their turn. But that's not the time to do it. When you are first making your list should have purpose. You should already know that this spell will normally go here. This is how I'll normally deploy. In fact, my work logbook is full of all these little circle diagrams where I'm planning out deployments, right? And I mean, you don't need to go through that. Some people even go and like, hey, if you have your models pull out for a tournament, place them down so you know you're going to place them, so you know that if this model needs to support this, this is where they're going to be placed. And if you're going to be casting these spells and these units, make sure they're in range of the spells. Your caster should be in range so that you can cast and go somewhere else if needed. And so that planning should be done before. Now, for the rest of it, as far as, okay, where are my matchups, where's the terrain I want to take, that should be all done before as well. Off the clock. That's the important thing, is that your clock doesn't start to deployment. But there's that point there where you now know each other's lists, you know, who's going to take one side, who wants to go first or second. That's the time that you need to be doing all that thought off the clock. When it gets to your first turn should be no more than 3 minutes. It should just be exactly that, running up into position, doing the spells, doing the synergies, done. This should be something that's like clockwork. Another place where I see problems with this is with people that jump between lists. Like, today I'm going to try this, and today I'm going to try this. Where if it's someone with no practice with a list, they'll take more time on that first turn, and you just can't. Later on in the game where you're having, you know, those really fast turns because you're out of time, well, if your first turn is faster, you wouldn't be in that position. So make sure your turn is really, really fast, and then all of a sudden the rest of the game is so much easier. So there you go. There's the first one from Chris. But now we got another one from Chris Dancox. He has a 2-part question. First one's asking about Paintisodes. Paintisodes originally went away because basically I kind of was finding they were competing with the Warmachine 101s. I might start doing the Paintisodes again, but making it so that I'm not talking about Warmachine. You know, maybe I'm talking about movies or just stuff in general. I don't know if anyone's really interested in that, but that's the reason why they kind of went away. Now, the second one here is talking about staying motivated to play learn after your first few months. Now, this one here, losing motivation can be 2 different times, I find. There's, like what he says here, it's in the first couple of months. This is where you first get into the game, you start learning it, you think it's awesome, and then you get smashed, and you get smashed, and you get smashed, and about a month or 2 into the game, you start thinking, man, is this even worth my while? The second time you start losing motivation is after about a year or 2. This is something where you've been stuck in your ways, and it seems like every game is the same. Like, okay, here we go again. Is this matchup? Let's go through the paces. And those are 2 very different ones. Really, though, the one where you have that loss of motivation after a year or two, that's something more where you have to kind of make sure that it's not you yourself doing it to yourself. You know, if you're playing the same list time after time, you know, try different lists. Borrow somebody else's faction. You know, make it new, make it fresh. Get a tournament going, right? Get a campaign going. But that's that there. If it's after a month or two, that's probably, like I said, you're brand new to the game. It seems like you just can't stay ahead of the curve. Every game, you're getting smashed, and it's just, you know what, I'm done with this game. Well, that's unfortunately a hard hurdle to get over Warmachine. Warmachine has a lot of learning you need to do. The very fact here that there's every card you pick up has all these spells, all these special rules, all these abilities. It takes time to learn that. And as a new player, it could be like, all right, I'm ready to go. What's going to happen? Okay, Striker 2. Oh, I got assassinated. All right, he does that. Next game, Raven. Oh, wow, I just got shot across the board. Okay, next one, I'm against Butcher 3. Man, I got killed there. Now I'm against Lilith 2. And it can seem like every game is just a gotcha. Well, here's probably the main thing you want to do to get around that. First of all, if you want to be good at that part of the game, learn that part of the game. Go and read up in your war room. Go to Battle College if you need to. Go and listen to podcasts that talk about all the different casters like Chain Attack. Learn the rules, learn the game, and then those gotchas will start to go away. Now I find that even if you listen to it, say on Chain Attack or read it somewhere else, you don't really learn it till you get smacked with it, and so you just need to play it. Now, what happens in a lot of gaming situations is that you go into your gaming day, you play one game against Jimmy, you get a gotcha there, so now you play against Billy, another gotcha, and it just seems like every single time you're playing against somebody new and they're using something new, and it's just time after time a surprise. Well, the way to stop that is to play the same thing over and over again. Maybe say like, you know what? I'm just trying to learn. I know that you're a better player, or I know that maybe not even that. Maybe it's just there's a new player that's starting up at no time at the same time. And what you want to do is just play multiple times. Same list, same scenario, so that the first game, okay, there's a gotcha. Okay, good. I've learned from that. Let's play again. Play a little bit farther. Now I'm guarding against that gotcha. Maybe another gotcha comes up. Okay, now I know this. Okay, game 3, let's do this again. Now I know that gotcha, I know this gotcha, I'm starting to learn the matchups, and that's where you start not only enjoying the game more because it doesn't feel like you're being surprised, but you're also improving because you're working on those core skills. Okay, I'm not worried about being surprised, let's more look at, okay, my spacing, the way that I'm trying to counteract, my piece trading. You're really more focused on that than what am I going to be surprised with next. So that's that one there from Chris Dancox. And again, as new players, if you're listening to this, just keep going with it. It takes a while, you know, to learn all this stuff, but you'll get there for sure. Next one here is from Greg Rumpolt, and he says, what are the benefits of going first or versus going second? And it could also include how to decide if you want to go first or second. So going first is really straightforward. That's the one that's going to be the easiest. You want to go first if you want to get ahead on the board. So scenario is one thing. You want to get up there so you can control the board, get up on where the flags and the zones are and the objectives, but it's also just about capturing the board, which could be a thing if you're needing to put a lot of presence out. Part of that could be like a gun line. Gun lines don't normally want to get up on scenario. They want to get up and get forward so that as you come towards them, they have that room to shoot and start falling back. So that's really it. If we're going first, maybe you want to get a jump on a gun line, right? That's something you want to go first to get to there before they can be in place, right? It's more about, if I want to go first, I need to be getting board presence. I need to be further up the board faster than my opponent. What seems a little bit backwards because, you know, the person going second gets 10 inches, they get 3 extra inches of deployment, but really that first turn of running up means so much more. So first turn, that's really all about, I need to capture this much of the table. So why would you want to go second? Well, people who want to go second could be for a couple of different reasons. One, it could be because the terrain is very important. Maybe you have a list that doesn't really deal well with Pathfinder and stuff like that, so you need to make sure you're not on the side that has this water or rough terrain and something like that. Or maybe defensively, I got to make sure I stay alive, so I want to make sure that I'm going to be taking this piece of terrain, this cover, this wall, or maybe even vice versa. I'm going Kane 2, I'm trying to assassinate, and I want to make sure that you're not getting that hill, you're not getting that piece of wall. The other reason why I might be going second is maybe the actual matchups are really important. I gotta make sure that I line up these guys against those guys. I gotta make sure that these guys don't get matched up against your guys over there. That's why it'd be important to go second, so that you can see where they deploy and then counteract for that. Another big thing is maybe that could be part of your scenario. Some people play a scenario like me, just swarm, 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 get across the board, and that's how you hold the zones. Other ones do it through elimination. Okay, let's say it's incursion. You're going first, you come forward, you get all over the flags, now it's my turn, and on the second player's second turn, you had the first opportunity to score. So I can look at all these flags and say, which will be the easiest ones to clear and score on. So if you're playing that sort of scenario, you can definitely do that. And a good examples for that are sometimes gun lines, because they can shoot down things by those areas and then throw up a solo to score, or someone like Butcher 3 who can go up there, kill everyone around an area, back away, and let something else go in there and score, or jam up while he dominates. So they are really good at that. So really that's what it comes down to, is that balance, and realizing when you're first looking at each other's lists, what's going to be important. Do I have matchups I need to happen? Or is there terrain that's really, really, really important? Or do I just need to get up the board as fast as I can? And that's where those two come up. Last one here has come from JD Irish. And he wants to ask about disabled, box destroyed, and removed from play, in the order that they're done in, and examples of how they interact. So, really, this is something that, when you're getting into the game, is very unique. When you're coming from 40K or fantasy or something else, this is not really there. There's like, you're alive and then you're dead and that's it. But in this game here in Warmachine, there's set ways where this goes through. So, like it says here, it goes to disabled, then box, and then destroyed. If you have no rules to interact with that, it's extremely straightforward. It's just, hey, you're dead. You have all your boxes gone. You're out of here. However, when you start having some other abilities that trigger on those, it's a lot more important to get that done. So an example here might be with Alexia, right? So for her, she can actually get these dead in. So when a living model is destroyed, in this model's command range, then you get a corpse token. So again, when we're looking at our different phases, it is disabled, box, destroyed. So she's not getting that token until the third phase. So where that becomes important is if something removes from play, if something goes and makes sure that at either disabled or boxed, it's removed from play, that means she doesn't get to do her ability because it's already gone. Maybe something gets to take that away at an earlier step. Again, that's where that ordering comes in play. And it really, I find that the actual breakdown and trying to realize, okay, how does this interact? The interactions are actually very simple. The hardest thing is just remember what the order of those three are. Disabled, box, destroyed. If you can remember those three, everything else is very obvious. There's three phases. If you can remember the name of those three phases, it's just reading the rule and seeing which of those three comes in. Now, the only other complication is, well, what happens if it's both on the same? Maybe both of our things triggered on disabled. Well, if that's the case, the player who is currently active, whoever's turn it is, they decide what order they go in. That's the important thing. So really, that's it. There's three different phases. Remember their names: disabled, box, destroyed. And if it's at the same time, then whoever is currently having their turn, they decide what happens first. So there you go. There's another Warmachine 101. It's been a long time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And again, if you want to be in for the next ones, just go. I have my Mr. Malorian Facebook page. You can just search for it. We can also just, it'll be in the link there down below as well. And just join in there and like, and then I can answer your questions and we can have more fun together. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later. Bye.